So we'll be placing these containers, these radon canisters, throughout the entire building. There's going to be probably about 43 samples that we're going to place in the rooms in here, and it's really based on the size of the building, square footage, and then numbers of classrooms or offices that are frequently occupied. And so, place these, we just open the canister up, and that's pretty much it. We leave it here. We want it to be undisturbed under normal classroom conditions, and after 48 hours we'll come back and pick up the samples and just close them up and send them off to our lab.
So what are the health issues to our students with the radon?
So radon is based off of, it's a lot more longer term exposure is when you start seeing health risks. The biggest health risk is potentially lung cancer. And it really just depends on how long someone has been exposed to the radon and what radon levels are within each room that they've occupied.
If this is a regular classroom setting, wouldn't we be opening and closing the doors during the classroom day?
You would be, but we do want it to be under normal conditions, so that means that the airflow and the heating systems are going to be the same as if when students are here, but we do want to keep the doors and windows and all closed during this point, because that's when you'll get the most buildup of radon in here. So that's kind of more of the most exposure that we'd possibly get is when those doors and facility rooms are closed.
Okay.
It's done.
What is it in there that detects the radon?
It is activated charcoal, so it'll absorb any of the radon, and when we send it to the lab, they'll be able to open it up and test that inside of it. And so the samples, we got to keep them off the ground, so at least a minimum of 20 inches off the ground, and at a minimum 12 inches or a foot away from an exterior wall. Okay, let's go place the rest of these samples throughout the building.
Okay.
So we've chosen this school based upon its location in the Rocky Mountain region, and this school and another school are going to be considered our pilot test programs to trial runs at these schools, and then hopefully move on to other schools after this.
Is there a possibility that our school was chosen because of the possibility of radon being here?
It is EPA has mapped the entire country on how severe radon levels are potentially in the area, and this area is a zone 1, which means it's the highest potential to have radon in this region.
I see. So these canisters will be in the building for 48 hours, and then you will come back and gather them?
Yes, we'll come back after the 48 hours have expired, and we will close up the canisters, reseal them, and then place them in plastic bags and send those off to our lab to get tested.
I see. That's all after 48 hours of being in the building?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
The code is 456925.
Okay. Okay.
Number is 456965.
Okay, that matches.
What are you writing?
So we take a log of each of the samples, and so we note which room they are in every building, and we also note their serial number that's on the top of the canister, and then we also write down what time it is when we deployed them originally, and then when we retrieve them, so we know that it's been 48 hours since we've set down the canister.
When will we know the results?
So the samples will be sent off to our lab, and it'll take up to 2 weeks to get the results back. Once we have the results, we'll write up a findings report, and we'll send that off to Mr. Carl Chuiwi at the OFMC, and he will be the one who will be distributing the results to everyone else at the school and the facilities. So as you can see, we put multiple samples in the gym. And we do that because the gym is a larger space, and we have to have one sample container per every 2,000 square feet. So since this gym is larger than that, we have 3 different samples placed throughout the gym to make sure we account for the square footage. And as you can see here, we have 2 different samples right next to each other. One of them is the duplicate sample, and one of them is our original sample. And we do this as a measure that we take to the lab, and so since they're sitting right next to each other, they should have a really similar result. And that's how we know, an extra control measure, that the lab is testing this space correctly and that the sample is correct. At some schools where faculty live on the school grounds, we may be coming into those houses and sampling for radon as well. And we'll be sampling in areas that people are spending the most of their time, so in bedrooms and in living rooms.
We are St. Stephen's Indian School. We are a BIE grant-funded school. We serve the entire Wind River Reservation surrounding us. We are primarily an Arapaho enrollment. Our enrollment between the elementary school and the high school is approximately 265 to 275 students.